February 24th, 2022. In the early hours of that Thursday morning, Russian tanks rolled across Ukraine's borders as Vladimir Putin launched a full-scale invasion. An invasion that has unleashed unspeakable violence and brutality, that has left countless dead and forced millions to flee, that has upended peace and stability in Europe. Months before, as early as November of 2021, satellite images showed Russia building up its troops and military equipment on Ukraine's borders. Provocations followed in the weeks and months thereafter, escalating a crisis of Russia's own making. When Putin chose war, he expected to make quick work of the conflict. He expected that Kyiv would fall, that President Zelensky would cave, but he was wrong. He underestimated the courage and strength of the Ukrainian people.
Всім добрий вечір.
Despite the dangers, President Zelensky remained in Ukraine, saying he needed ammunition, not a ride. And the West stepped up. Canada stepped up. We stepped up with howitzers and Leopard 2 tanks, with hundreds of thousands of rounds of ammunition, with warm winter clothing, with body armor, with fuel, coupled with stinging sanctions that target Russia where it hurt the most, their oligarchs and their war chest.
Ukraine is a nation that's coalescing around a war effort.
Week after week, month after month, Canada and our NATO allies stepped up with munitions and aid.
Across this country, there are these long queues of people ready to volunteer.
As the Ukrainian people took up arms and fought back with a courage that inspired the world.
What strikes you about the people of Ukraine is their determination, their resilience, their spirit.
In the 2 years since Putin's choice, Russia's aggression has not relented. Evidence of war crimes in Bucha, in Hostomel, shocked the world, exposing the butchery of Russian mercenaries.
Residents say that Russian soldiers were going door to door, house to house, kicking down the doors, shooting the locks, and primarily searching for young men, they say, but that if anyone gave them any kind of resistance, argued with them, tried to talk back to them, they would quickly be shot.
Flattened towns, bullet-ridden hospitals, mass graves. Yet, against Putin's war machine, Ukraine has held fast and held strong. Resilience not only found on the front lines, but evident in everyday acts. Take, for example, the teacher, sheltering her students in the school basement, carrying on their lessons as she shields them from Russian bombs overhead. Or the volunteer who fills tin cans with wicks and wax, making candles to bring warmth and light to defenders in the trenches. Or the baker who, though the equipment and ingredients are in short supply, kneads and bakes 300 loaves a day for the hungry and the wounded. Or the young man, barely 18, who learns too soon the cruelty of adulthood as he enlists to fight.
Last week, I read the story of a Ukrainian soldier. The name he goes by is Kadyet. He joined the army the day after he turned 18, the fourth day after Russia invaded. Now, my eldest son is 15, and even though he's already taller than me, I couldn't imagine him going off to war in just a couple of years. What kids and families are living across Ukraine right now is difficult to even comprehend, but it is all very, very real, both what you are doing and why you are doing it.
Every day since Russia's invasion, we've stood with the people of Ukraine, the people who've shown incredible resilience as their very destiny is challenged by the Kremlin, who have fought back with unmatched ferocity, who've carried on in coffee shops, in businesses, in life, brave and unwavering. Every day since, we have stood with Ukraine, with accountability and sanctions for the Kremlin and its oligarchs, with open homes and open hearts for Ukrainians who've sought refuge in Canada, and with ammunition and equipment to save lives on the front lines. All this to bring this war to an end. Because if we fail to stop Russia's advances, if we allow one despot's invasion to embolden countless more aggressors, if we allow Putin to redraw the map as he pleases, the world will look much different and much worse.
Think about it for a second. If Putin were to succeed, which he won't, but if he were to succeed in winning, in erasing Ukraine, what message would that send to anyone else around the world who has a slightly bigger army than their neighbor? The 75 years of stability, of peace that we had since the end of World War II around the world that led to an era of prosperity, of growth, of opportunity for so many of us around the world, that saw billions of people lifted out of poverty all around the world, would be once again put at risk if suddenly might becomes right once again.
But today, as the war drags on and as more Ukrainians die defending their homeland, some voices are growing tired. It's in peaceful democracies like Canada that some people and some parties are wondering if Ukraine's democracy is important enough, if this fight is worth continuing. Well, know this. Despite the voices of the tired who want us to close our doors and cut off our allies, Canada's support for Ukraine is unwavering and unequivocal. We will defend a future for Ukraine that's written by Ukrainians. We will defend a Ukraine that stands strong and free, and we will be with Ukraine in this courageous fight for as long as it takes. Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava.